Getty chief trade negotiator Robert Lighthizer has warned China the U.S. will not be a victim. The United States isn't the victim. Chief trade negotiator Robert Lighthizer. U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer told the U.S. Chamber of Commerce he was not looking to negotiate changes to China's state-driven economic system in trade talks in Beijing this week, but would seek to expose it to more foreign competition. He said, "It is not my objective to change the Chinese system. It seems to work for them, but I have to be in a position where the United States can deal with it, where the United States isn't the victim of it, and that's where our role is." Mr. Lighthizer said he viewed the forthcoming talks with top Chinese officials on Thursday and Friday as the start of a long learning process for Washington and Beijing to better manage their trade differences. U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin will also be at the talks. She will be part of a Trump administration delegation which also includes U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, White House Trade and Manufacturing Advisor Peter Navarro, and new White House Economic Advisor Larry Kudlow. Mr. Ross said Mr. Trump was prepared to levy tariffs on China if the delegation did not reach a negotiated settlement to reduce trade imbalances. Speaking to CNBC television before traveling to China for the talks, he said he had some hope agreements could be reached to resolve the trade tensions between the world's two largest economies. But Mr. Ross and Mr. Navarro, who spoke to steel company executives in Washington on Tuesday, both said any final decision would be made by Trump. U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened China with punitive trade tariff SMR. Trump has threatened tariffs on up to $150 billion worth of Chinese goods to punish China over its joint venture requirements and other policies which he says force American companies to surrender their intellectual properties to state-backed Chinese competitors. China, which denies it coerces such technology transfers, has threatened retaliation in equal measure, including tariffs on U.S. soybeans and aircraft. Asked how long Trump would negotiate with Chinese officials before imposing tariffs, Mr. Lighthizer said, "We'll see. Our list of things that are troubling is very long. We'll see where we are at the end of a couple of days." Speaking to CNBC, Mr. Ross did not detail Trump administration's specific demands on China. However, he said, "We have a pretty good idea of what we need to come out with." Officials have called for a $100 billion reduction in the United States' $375 billion goods trade deficit with China, a reduction in China's car tariffs, and more U.S. access to the Asian nation's vast markets.